promotion, Yvette Cooper? Is it a promotion, Yvette Cooper?
Well, good morning, colleagues. Let me welcome you to this Cabinet team and to the next stage of our journey as we move from the stage of fixing foundations now on to the stage of national renewal.
The Cooper coup, inside Britain's most calculated cabinet reshuffle. Before we dive into what might be the most significant cabinet reshuffle of Starmer's tenure, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell because UK politics just took a turn nobody saw coming, and you won't want to miss our analysis of where this leads next. Picture this. You're David Lammy, Britain's Foreign Secretary, probably enjoying your morning Earl Grey, when suddenly your political world gets turned upside down faster than you can say cabinet reshuffle. One moment you're Britain's chief diplomat, the next you're being shuffled off to Deputy Prime Minister whilst Yvette Cooper, the steely Home Secretary, takes your job. Welcome to the brutal reality of Westminster politics, where loyalty means nothing and political survival means everything. But here's where it gets absolutely fascinating, and frankly, rather delicious in its political machinations. This wasn't just any ordinary reshuffle triggered by some minor parliamentary scandal or backbenchers' rebellion. No, this seismic shift in Britain's political landscape was sparked by Angela Rayner's spectacular fall from grace over what can only be described as a rather embarrassing tax row. The Deputy Prime Minister, that firebrand of the Labour left, found herself in hot water over incorrect tax payments on a property transaction. How wonderfully British that a property tax dispute could trigger a governmental earthquake that would reshape Britain's foreign policy apparatus. Now, let's talk about Yvette Cooper, shall we? This is a woman who doesn't just break glass ceilings. She demolishes them with the precision of a master craftsman. Cooper is the first woman in British political history to have served in both roles of Home Secretary and Foreign Secretary. Think about that for a moment. In over 1,000 years of British governance, through wars, empires, and political upheavals, no woman had ever held both of these crucial positions until now. That's not just making history, that's rewriting it entirely. But here's what makes Cooper's ascension even more intriguing. She's not some fresh-faced newcomer riding the wave of progressive politics. This is a battle-hardened veteran of the Blair years, a political survivor who's weathered storms that would have sunk lesser politicians. She's seen governments rise and fall, witnessed the machinations of power from the inside, and now she finds herself at the very apex of Britain's international relations. The woman who once sat in Tony Blair's cabinet meetings is now the person who will represent Britain on the world stage. That's not just career progression, that political resurrection of the highest order. The timing of this reshuffle couldn't be more significant if it had been orchestrated by the finest political strategists in Westminster. We're living through one of the most turbulent periods in international relations since the Cold War. Gaza remains a powder keg, with Cooper having previously labeled the situation in Gaza as crimes against humanity. Ukraine continues its desperate struggle against Russian aggression. China looms large on the horizon as both economic partner and strategic rival. And into this maelstrom steps Yvette Cooper, carrying with her the weight of Britain's international reputation and the expectations of a nation watching nervously from the sidelines. David Lammy's tenure as Foreign Secretary was nothing if not controversial. Lammy, who has been a divisive figure within the community for his stance on the conflict in the Middle East, found himself increasingly at odds with various stakeholders. His vocal criticism of Israel's actions in Gaza, while applauded by some quarters, raised eyebrows in others, particularly among Britain's Jewish community and traditional allies. The question now becomes, will Cooper bring a more measured approach to these delicate diplomatic relationships, or will she double down on her predecessor's positions? The political chess game being played here is absolutely masterful, and Starmer deserves credit for his strategic thinking, even if the execution feels somewhat chaotic. By promoting Lammy to Deputy Prime Minister, he's not throwing him under the bus entirely. Instead, he's moving a potentially problematic figure away from the front lines of international diplomacy while keeping him close enough to maintain party unity. It's the kind of calculated political maneuvering that would make Machiavelli himself nod in approval. Meanwhile, Shabana Mahmood steps into Cooper's former role as Home Secretary, creating a domino effect that ripples through the entire government structure. This isn't just about changing faces in cabinet photographs. This is about fundamentally altering the power dynamics within the Labour government. Cooper, with her extensive experience and Blair connections, now becomes arguably the second most important figure in the government after Starmer himself. But let's address the elephant in the room, shall we? As Home Secretary, Cooper led the UK ban on Palestine action under anti-terrorism laws, a move that demonstrated her willingness to take controversial decisions when she believes them necessary. This wasn't a woman afraid to make enemies or shy away from difficult choices. Now, as Foreign Secretary, she'll need to navigate even more treacherous waters, balancing Britain's relationships with allies who often have competing interests and conflicting demands. The international implications of this appointment cannot be overstated. Foreign governments will be scrambling to understand what this means for their relationships with Britain. Will Cooper maintain the previous government's approach to China? How will she handle the delicate balance between supporting Ukraine and managing energy security? What about Britain's post-Brexit relationships with European partners who are still smarting from years of difficult negotiations? Here's where Cooper's Blair experience becomes absolutely crucial. She's been in rooms where these kinds of decisions are made. She's seen how international relationships are built and destroyed. She understands the intricate dance of diplomacy in ways that many politicians, regardless of their domestic experience, simply don't. When she sits down with her counterparts in Washington, Brussels, Beijing, or Moscow, she won't be the wide-eyed newcomer trying to find her feet. She'll be the seasoned operator who knows exactly how these games are played. The domestic political implications are equally fascinating. Cooper's appointment sends a clear signal about the kind of government Starmer intends to run. This is not a government that will be pushed around by backbench rebellions or swayed by the latest polling. This is a government that will make hard decisions and stick by them even when they are unpopular. Cooper's track record suggests she's exactly the kind of person who can deliver that kind of steely determination. The European dimension of Cooper's appointment cannot be ignored either. As Britain continues to navigate its post-Brexit relationship with the continent, having a foreign secretary with deep experience in European affairs could prove invaluable. Cooper understands the European political landscape in ways that many of her contemporaries don't, and she'll need every ounce of that knowledge as Britain seeks to rebuild relationships that were severely strained during the Brexit negotiations. From a purely tactical standpoint, Cooper's appointment also strengthens Starmer's position within the government. By promoting someone with such extensive experience and political weight, he's effectively creating a powerful ally who can help him navigate future political storms. Cooper isn't just another cabinet minister. She's a potential kingmaker whose support could prove crucial if Starmer faces any leadership challenges down the road. The international timing is absolutely perfect as well. With Trump potentially returning to the White House, Britain needs a foreign secretary who can navigate the unpredictable waters of American politics. Cooper's experience dealing with difficult personalities and complex negotiations will be absolutely essential as Britain seeks to maintain its special relationship with America while pursuing its own national interests. But here's what's really fascinating about this whole affair. It demonstrates just how quickly political fortunes can change in Westminster. Angela Rayner's tax troubles, which might have seemed like a minor administrative issue, have triggered a complete reshuffling of Britain's foreign policy apparatus. David Lammy, who probably thought he had years ahead of him as Foreign Secretary, find himself moved sideways in a matter of days. Political careers in Westminster truly are nasty, brutish, and short. The questions now become, how will Cooper handle her first major international crisis? What will her approach be to the ongoing conflicts that are dominating headlines? Will she maintain Britain's current positions or chart a new course? These aren't academic questions. They're issues that will directly impact Britain's standing in the world and its relationships with crucial allies and partners. Cooper's first public statements as Foreign Secretary will be absolutely crucial. The international community will be parsing every word, looking for clues about Britain's future direction. Her approach to ongoing crises will set the tone for her entire tenure and potentially define Britain's international relationships for years to come. What's particularly intriguing is how this appointment might affect Britain's relationship with Israel and Palestine. Cooper's previous comments and actions suggest she may take a different approach than her predecessor, but the extent of any policy shifts remains to be seen. This is one area where international observers will be watching every move with microscopic attention. The broader implications for British foreign policy could be profound. Cooper brings a different perspective, different relationships, and different priorities than Lammy. While continuity in foreign policy is generally preferred, there are times when a fresh approach can unlock new opportunities and solve persistent problems. Looking ahead, Cooper's success or failure as Foreign Secretary could well determine the trajectory of Starmer's entire government. Foreign policy has a way of defining prime ministers and their cabinets, and Cooper now carries that responsibility. She's not just representing herself or even the Labour Party, she's representing Britain itself on the world stage. The political establishment's reaction to this appointment has been fascinating to watch. Some see it as a masterstroke that brings experience and gravitas to a crucial position. Others view it as a sideways move that doesn't represent any real change in policy direction. The truth, as always in politics, probably lies somewhere in between. This reshuffle represents more than just musical chairs in Whitehall. It's a fundamental recalibration of Britain's approach to international relations at a time when such recalibration could hardly be more necessary. Cooper steps into her new role facing challenges that would test even the most experienced diplomat, and she'll need every ounce of her political skill to navigate them successfully. The next few months will be absolutely crucial in determining whether this appointment proves to be the masterstroke Starmer clearly believes it to be, or whether it becomes yet another example of political miscalculation in an increasingly unpredictable world. Cooper's appointment as Britain's Foreign Secretary isn't just another cabinet reshuffle. It's a statement about the kind of country Britain intends to be and the role it wants to play on the world stage. The stakes couldn't be higher, the challenges couldn't be more complex, and the opportunities for both triumph and disaster couldn't be more real. Welcome to the Cooper era of British foreign policy, where experience meets expectation, and where the future of Britain's international relationships hangs in the balance. That's a political earthquake reshaping British foreign policy right before our eyes. Yvette Cooper's historic appointment as Foreign Secretary represents more than just another cabinet shuffle. It's a fundamental shift that could define Britain's international relationships for years to come. What do you think about this seismic change in Westminster? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Smash that like button if this analysis opened your eyes to the deeper implications. And don't forget to subscribe to UK Connors for more insider analysis of the political dramas unfolding across Britain. Trust me, with politics this unpredictable, you won't want to miss what happens next.